Welcome to Release Readiness Live. I'm Ella Marks. I'm on the admin relations team here at Salesforce, and I'm your host for today's broadcast. We're broadcasting from our home studios all this week to share some new features in the Spring 21 release. After our product team shares the highlights, we'll spend some time taking questions on the air. We'll be monitoring both the Release Readiness Trailblazer community and Twitter, so post your questions as soon as you can and use the hashtag SalesforceLive. I recommend posting your longer, more detailed questions in the community where the conversation can continue after the webcast. If we don't get to your question on the air, we'll be sure to follow up with you within a few days. All of our webcasts will be available on the Salesforce Live website for later viewing. Since we may be covering the roadmap, we'll be making some forward-looking statements, so please make your purchasing decisions based on currently available functionality. Now let's get started with Commerce Cloud and meet our product managers.
Thank you, Ella. Hi, everyone. My name is Srinivas. I'm from the Commerce Cloud Einstein product management team. And I'm super excited today to walk everyone through our latest and greatest enhancements for our reports and dashboards product that are going to be coming along for the Spring 21 release. So with that out of the way, why don't we just jump into the details?
So before we get started, I thought I'd give you guys a quick overview of reports and dashboards. Reports and dashboards on Commerce Cloud offers both business and technical insights to help you enable data-driven decisions. Within reports and dashboards, you can track total revenue, top selling products, most used promotion, conversion rate, API requests, and technical performance reports. You can also use these advanced filters to see data by customer type, site, locale, device type, etc. You also have the ability to view this data using your own reporting currency and time zone. With the Spring 21 release, we're really excited to launch Shopper Journey Insights. You may also know this as Checkout Insights. First of all, this can be found on Reports and Dashboards under the Traffic tab, where there's a new section called Shopper Journey. This dashboard provides visibility into the conversion data for total shopper visits and lists the percentage and totals for carts, checkouts, and order conversion stages across your shopper journey. You can also review the conversion data for each of these checkout steps as you configured it on your site. The shopper journey funnel on the dashboard illustrates how shoppers proceed through your storefront and at what point they abandon the process before they place an order. For each journey, you can then use the visualizations to display the number of stages that they visit, as well as the percent to total for all the visits, in addition to the percent drop between each of your stages across your shopper journey. All this in turn helps the merchandiser understand how engaging the storefront is, which allows them to make appropriate recommendations, ensuring site visitors do not leave unsatisfied based on the areas they visit or have low visits. So moving on, we're also excited to launch Promotional Conversion Insights. Within Reports and Dashboards, under the Promotion tab, there'll be a new section called Promotion Conversion. This dashboard gives you visibility to the performance of the promotions you display on your storefront. You can use the dashboard to evaluate the effectiveness of your promotional strategy, identify promotions that convert site traffic to revenue, as well as promotions that are underperforming. You have three areas as a merchandiser to focus on: the promotional conversion rate, the promotion conversion summary, and the promotion conversion details. The conversion rate is the percentage of sites visits that result in a placed order that includes a promotion. The conversion table provides insights into how your promotional strategy impacts site visits to order conversion. You can view all of this across all your promotional types, such as product, shipping, and order. The promotional conversion detail table shows you the conversion details for individual promotions as well as at a campaign level. You can use this data to review your individual promotional performance and its conversion rate for each promotion and how they drive orders and revenue. Overall, the focus of this dashboard is to increase sales for all your promotions and narrow down the ones that are underperforming.
So with that, we're at the end of the update for reports and dashboards. So now I will be passing it over to Lindsay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lindsay Abchant, and I'm part of the Commerce Cloud product management team. In our spring release, we're excited to announce and share with you our brand new Omnichannel inventory service. Alongside Omnichannel inventory, we'll also be introducing new distributed order management capabilities. And with that, let's go ahead and get started.
During today's demo, we'll highlight how customers can leverage Omnichannel inventory to power real-time storefront availability, take advantage of the robust inventory segmentation capabilities to have full control over the inventory available to each storefront, and leverage order management's pre-built integration into omnichannel inventory to power intelligent routing decisions. Now let's get started with a demo. We'll start this journey on a Commerce Cloud storefront to show how our new inventory capabilities are powering availability on the storefront. Imagine I'm a shopper and I'm looking to stock up on one of my favorite Alpine nutrition products, their Chai Energy Pods. As I drill into the product detail page, what you'll notice is that I can see this product is in stock for the quantity I want to purchase. And this is being powered by Salesforce's brand new omnichannel inventory. Let's take a look behind the scenes at how we're calculating that availability. In this spring release, we'll also be introducing a new omnichannel inventory application. This application will give merchants and retailers the ability to view and manage inventory across all of their locations, including stores and warehouses. So if I take a look at that product I was just viewing on Commerce Cloud, and I filter by the Alpine storefront, I can see that several locations are eligible to provide this item to me, which includes both store and warehouse locations. Our new omnichannel inventory product uses a concept called location groups to calculate aggregate availability for a particular sales channel. For example, Alpine Storefront allows customers to purchase from a pool of inventory that includes all of these locations, and the inventory service will calculate availability at the group and individual location level, taking into account on-hand inventory, future inventory for pre-order or back order, any reservations that are maintained against the group or location, and also safety stock to allow a retailer to protect or hold back a portion of their physical inventory from being available. As you can see here, we're calculating two different numbers. The first is available to fulfill, which is inventory that can be purchased and fulfilled today. And the second is available to order, which includes future inventory. For this specific SKU that I'm viewing, both of these are the same since there is no future inventory. From this application, merchandisers can also add and remove locations from a location group. So if a merchant wanted to add a new location, they can easily start that process of adding the new location. You can also customize the metadata for the location or group. In the case of this store, we can see that we've customized the location type to indicate this is a store location, and we've also configured whether or not the Mission District store is eligible for specific fulfillment programs like ship from store or pick up in store. You can also add metadata to the location, such as the location's daily capacity or the fulfillment priority, and then leverage those data points to inform your order routing decisions once an order is placed and comes into Salesforce Order Management. Since my item is in stock on Alpine Storefront, I want to go ahead and check out. So I can show how we're leveraging this inventory data at each individual location within the location group and using that alongside Salesforce Order Management to intelligently route this order to the best location for fulfillment. So I'll go ahead and check out as a guest on the Alpine Storefront. As I do so, I just want to reiterate that as part of our standard order management implementation, we have a pre-built integration with Commerce Cloud so that the moment this order has been placed, it's going to flow directly into Salesforce Order Management. One new feature that we've added to the integration with the spring release is the ability to transition the reservation information that was placed against omnichannel inventory, so that when the order comes into order management, we know where it was reserved and we can make sure that we're transitioning that reservation to the location it gets routed to. Okay, so now that my order has been placed, let's take a look at how this order gets routed, leveraging our new distributed order management capabilities. I'm now back in the Lightning platform, and I just switched over to the Salesforce Order Management application. And from here, I'm going to drill into the order that I just placed on Commerce Cloud to see how and where it was routed. On the order summary page, you can see all the details about the order have been mapped in seamlessly from Commerce Cloud. And if I look at the item I just purchased in more detail, you can see that when the order came in from Commerce Cloud, we were tracking that the reservation was placed against that Alpine storefront group. That's the same location group I showed earlier in the Omnichannel Inventory app. And from here, I can see all the locations that were eligible to fulfill this item. Now, when we run this order through our distributed order management logic, we're going to select the best location to fulfill in this group based on the routing rules we have in place. Let's take a look at the order I just placed again and see which location it was routed to for fulfillment. All of my items on my order have been routed into a single fulfillment order that is going to be fulfilled from the store in Miami, Florida. As you can see, my address is in Boynton Beach, Florida, and the Miami location is just 50 miles away. And if based on all the other locations in the group that could have fulfilled, the Miami location was definitely the closest in proximity. Now I'm going to switch over to the Lightning Flow Builder. As you may be aware, Salesforce Order Management heavily uses Lightning Flow as our configurable visual workflow builder. And with the release of our Omnichannel Inventory service and distributed order management capabilities, the ability to create really intelligent order routing capabilities has just gone to the next level. Let's take a look at the order routing flow that was used to route the order I just placed in Commerce Cloud. The moment my order came into order management, we kicked off this routing flow. The first thing the routing flow did was grab the delivery address and product details on the order. And then the next step was to get the inventory availability. From here, we made a direct call to Omnichannel Inventory and got a list back of all the locations within that Alpine storefront group that had available inventory for my items. Once we know which locations in that group have available inventory, we need to make a decision about where we're going to route from. And what we have set up in this routing flow is we want to minimize the number of times we split the order. In this specific routing flow, we've configured this routing rule to 0 splits. So essentially, we're looking at locations that can only ship complete. Depending upon the number of splits you'd want to allow, there's a configurable parameter within this action that allows you to define the maximum number of splits. Once we know which locations can ship the order complete, the next action we'll take is finding the location that is closest in proximity to the shopper. In my case, that ended up being the store in Miami, Florida. And from there, we created the fulfillment order record, which we saw on my order with all of the item quantity being fulfilled from the store in Miami. So just to recap all of the amazing new capabilities that I just walked through, we saw the availability on Alpine's Commerce Cloud storefront being powered by the new Omnichannel Inventory service. We also saw how merchants and order management users can easily view group and location level availability with the introduction of the Omnichannel Inventory application built directly in the Salesforce platform. And after we seamlessly mapped all of the order data into order management, including information about the reservation, we leveraged our brand new order routing capabilities to determine the best location for fulfillment based upon our main goals of minimizing splits and fulfilling from the closest location to the customer.
I hope you enjoyed the demo. That's all we have today for order management. Now let's welcome Alan to talk about what's new for payments in the spring release.
Thanks a lot, Lindsay. That was great. Hi, I'm Alan Canzano, a Senior Director of Product Management here at Salesforce and responsible for our awesome new commerce payments offering, which I'm looking forward to talking about right now. So let's jump into it.
Salesforce, of course, has offered commerce solutions to help our customers sell to consumers and businesses for years. With our February 21 release, however, we're now delighted to be able as well to offer payments, meaning acceptance of different payment methods and the underlying processing of those payments. Now, there is no commerce without payments except barter, so we couldn't be more thrilled to give our customers an easier, faster, and trusted way to process payments within their Salesforce commerce experiences. But why is it critical that we're offering payments to our commerce customers now? Because of what we're looking at right here. In an increasingly digital age, with more and more commerce moving online, especially as people shelter in place during the COVID pandemic, payments has become even more complex. Recent surveys have shown that over 88% of shoppers are now using digital wallets like Apple Pay or Google Pay. So merchants now have to be able to take payments in ways that maybe they didn't have to before. And with more transactions moving online, that also means an increase in fraud. These two factors wind up impacting what merchants care about: conversion. Getting an actual buyer, not a fraudster, to complete a checkout. 6% of shoppers will simply bounce if the payment method they want to pay with isn't there. And 4% will not even try a second method if their first one is declined, including perhaps because the merchant's attempt to reduce fraud is blocking good transactions, which is a real problem. That means losing 10% of potential revenue just because of payments issues. Stealing a late night television infomercial line, though, I'll say now, but wait, there's more. It's not just the problems we've seen specifically get worse over the last year, including because of the COVID pandemic. Merchants are still suffering under the challenges of how long and expensive it can be to implement payments in the first place, on both the front end in commerce and in the back end, order management or ERP systems, and how many different payment methods they have to connect. These challenges are just made worse with each new payment method that buyers adopt. And then having to execute this across channel while maintaining the level of security and compliance required when dealing with money flows adds up to headaches and expense. The situation is that painful, though. Why hasn't it been addressed? The answer is it's a hard problem to solve. There are many different parties involved in a payments transaction, and there's a lot of complexity, and there are many regulatory and compliance constraints. Here we see a stylized representation of a transaction flow for a credit card, just one type of payment method, and all the different entities involved: the merchant, gateway that routes the transaction to the acquirer processor that connects it to the right scheme, the issuer on the other side of that scheme, and then systems like commerce platforms that sit in front of gateways and order management and ERP systems also needing to connect to acquirers. Making this easier and more efficient is just a tall task. But it's a task that Salesforce is up to. The first thing we realized is we couldn't solve this on our own. So we're partnering with Stripe, a recognized leader in payments processing, the leader in the Forrester Wave, as we see here. We couldn't be more delighted than to partner with Stripe, a company that shares our values and has the type of scale and performance that we know customers of Salesforce Commerce demand, processing hundreds of billions of dollars globally, supporting 185 different countries with 5 nines of uptime. And they also share our culture of innovation, deploying more than 250 new features last year. Being up and to the right is a position that Salesforce is accustomed to, and we wanted to be there for our customers, so to speak, with commerce payments, which our partnership with Stripe enables. Through our partnership with Stripe, we're able to create value in that conversion equation that our customers care so much about, that 10% of transactions lost that we saw earlier. We already know about how B2C Commerce lets merchants create wonderful branded commerce experiences and use powerful promotional tools, including those driven by Salesforce's Einstein AI, bring shoppers to checkouts with a full cart. Now we can directly deliver the fraud prevention and payments acceptance and processing capabilities that are also critical steps in creating a successful order by maximizing the conversion of that cart when it's time for the buyer to pay by using Stripe's Radar fraud prevention solution with its machine learning and tailored rules and the optimization that Stripe performs for network acceptance, fine-tuned through hundreds of billions of dollars of volume. So how are we doing that? With commerce payments, the integration directly into our B2C commerce product of payments processing and fraud prevention, powered by Stripe. This will provide our customers faster launches through simplified integrations, clicks to turn on payments, set it up and start selling. What used to take 3 weeks can now be done in only a day, saving time and money. Built-in fraud prevention. Not just payments acceptance and processing, but also fraud prevention, available through clicks and not code. Better security, a lower compliance burden in a way that you've come to trust from Salesforce. Merchants no longer will touch PCI for any transactions through commerce payments and will be eligible for the lowest appropriate PCI compliance status. That means less time and money spent on compliance and no risk from the potential loss of any payment card industry data. So how are we doing that? By giving customers clicks-based activation. Right from the B2C Commerce Business Manager, customers will be able to create their merchant acquiring account, have it automatically linked with their B2C Commerce application and sites, and provide the information to Stripe that's necessary to take that account live. No code required. By giving clicks-based storefront configuration, set up your storefronts with the payment methods you want through clicks and not code. And with the ability to add new payment methods, Salesforce rolls them out by simply checking a box, no reimplementation. At launch, Commerce Payments accepts credit cards, as well as several European payment methods, such as SEPA, with a single Euro payment area direct debit, bank contact, and Ideal, and express checkout options, such as Apple Pay, and any digital wallet that conforms to the W3C payment request API standards, including Google Pay. And built-in fraud prevention using Stripe's radar, as we've already touched on. So let's jump in and take a look at what that looks like and move to the demo. Let's take a look at what that experience looks like. Here I am in the Business Manager for B2C Commerce. The home page of our Business Manager application is what we see here. For customers using Commerce Payments, they'll go up to the administrative menu to select Salesforce Payment Setup to create their merchant account. Here we see the screen where customers can create that merchant account. They have to select the country in which they want to create that account in first. We'll select the United States from the drop-down menu that we see here available. And then we just hit next. Just like that, we've created a merchant account with Stripe, and we've connected it to their Salesforce B2C Commerce application in this instance. You can see that merchant account called out here below in the associated Stripe account. Now, we can also see that we're being told to onboard, so we need to finish that onboarding with Stripe. Let's do that. Here we see the first step of that onboarding process, in which we'll provide Stripe the information necessary to underwrite our merchant account, as well as our login and direct access to that account. This is a guided flow in which the questions asked will depend on the information previously provided. Now, we're not going to go through that whole flow now. Don't want to type in all that business and financial information in this demo. Instead, we'll go back to Business Manager and look what the rest of the experience there is like, configuring a site for payments. Here we are back in the Business Manager. This time, instead of going to the Administrators menu, we're going to go to the Merchant Tools menu and select Salesforce Payments. Now, because there are many different sites that a customer can run out of B2C Commerce, including through different teams, each fully localized to a different country, I have to select which site I want to configure for payments right now, which I do here by hitting this button and selecting RefArch Global. Here we are now in our Salesforce Payments storefront configuration screen. The first thing that we see in this message that your Stripe account is onboarded and ready to take live payments. This is because I've attached a fully onboarded account to this B2C Commerce instance, one that I completed that onboarding flow we just went through previously before recording this. If I hadn't, we would see an orange indicator here and the message that the account still needed to be onboarded before any payments could be taken. And if I hadn't created any merchant account at all, I wouldn't even be able to get to this screen. I would just see a message that said I needed to create my merchant account. Now let's go ahead and set up the payment methods we want to take on the storefront. Let's pick credit cards, bank contact, Apple Pay, and payment request, an express checkout button working against apps conforming to the W3C payment request API standard, such as Google Pay. We simply check those boxes, and it's that easy. We've set up our site for payments, offering shoppers the payment options that we've checked and made it easy for them to check out.
And that's it for me in Commerce Payments. So let's hand it back to Ella for some live Q&A.
Thanks, Alan, and thank you to all the folks out there who are joining us today. And welcome to the live Q&A portion of our broadcast. Now, if you haven't asked your question yet, there's still time. You can post your questions, go to the Release Readiness Trailblazer community or on Twitter and use the hashtag SalesforceLive. So let's get started with some questions. Alan, my first questions are for you. Given Stripe is the underlying processor for commerce payments, why wouldn't a customer just deal with Stripe directly?
Well, there's a few different reasons. I mean, the first reason is that they obviously already have an existing relationship with Salesforce, so they can just continue to work with us in one more area of what they're looking to accomplish in commerce, which is now payments. But additionally, because of our own relationship with Stripe, in effect, they're able to take advantage of how Salesforce has been able to structure a broader relationship with Stripe across all of our customers to leverage that for their individual gain. So they take out the fact that they don't have to deal with a separate vendor and they don't have to deal with a vendor that is going to be looking at them as an individual entity that has its own particular volumes and its own needs, but rather as a customer of Salesforce so that they're satisfying our requirements in order to satisfy our customers' requirements.
Great. Thanks, Alan. My next question for you is about PCI. So you talked a lot about PCI, but isn't Salesforce PCI Level 1 certified? Why do I need to worry about PCI compliance?
Well, you need to worry about PCI compliance because even though Salesforce is a PCI Level 1 DSS certified provider, we allow our customers, depending on how they use our products, to control code that puts them within the ambit of their own PCI attestation and requirements. And what we've done with Commerce Payments is we've said, hey, you know what? Rather than create the possibility of you're doing something from a PCI perspective that causes you problems, as well as something from a general security perspective of having your own kind of storage of PCI and thus potentially exposure elsewhere outside of Commerce Cloud to what could happen with PCI, we've locked that down within this integration. So we've said, hey, if you use us for Commerce Payments, we will make sure that you don't touch PCI, that your level of compliance that's required is predicated on the fact that you don't have access to it and that you're not responsible for making sure that it's secured. Now, you still have to go through the PCI process because you are, in fact, still taking payment card industry data and you're using it from a commerce perspective, but you're eligible for a display of compliance with those rules at the lowest possible level. You're basically able to say, hey, even though I'm in commerce and I'm using that information from shoppers who are buying things from me, I'm not actually touching that information. You guys being the PCI industry enforcers, for lack of a better term, can look to Salesforce and can look to Stripe in order to handle that. So it's a much cleaner, easier way to provide merchants the maximum kind of benefit of the way that we have insulated them from PCI.
Great. Thank you, Alan. I love cleaner, easier. Those are words everybody always loves to hear. My last question for you for this round is, are customers—
Are they all for me? I feel like I'm on the spot here.
I'll go around and make sure everybody gets some of these great questions. But my last one for you is, are customers using Commerce Cloud going to have to use Commerce Payments? What if I want to keep my payments processor, but still want to use Salesforce B2C Commerce?
Oh, yeah, of course. Look, we're always about making sure that our customers can make choices that fit what types of experiences that they want to provide to their shoppers and that otherwise fit their business requirements. We have no notion of saying, hey, if you use us for B2C commerce, you have to use us for commerce payments. Nor are we going to subterraneanly kind of incent that by having a punitive fee as some of our kind of competitors do. If you don't use us for payments, then we're going to charge you more for use of the commerce application. We're not going to do that either. This is all about offering an additional choice to customers for whom the things that we deliver from a commerce payments perspective are what best suits their business needs. They can use us. So it gives someone an extra option that they can have to satisfy their business needs, but it's never about strong arming folks into any kind of bundle or something like that.
Thanks, Alan, and thanks for being in the hot seat there. We'll move, Srini, we'll move to you next with a question. Does the promo conversion insights dashboard give me campaign level information?
Of course, yes. Thank you, Ella, and great question. Yes, in addition to providing summary level information around the effectiveness of your promotions, we also provide you the drill down into campaigns and its association with each of the individual promotions. Merchandisers also have the ability to then be able to sort on merchandising effectiveness, the number of uses for campaigns, and a variety of other metrics that help you sort around which campaigns are most effective based on the time frame you're looking at. So yeah, definitely we do provide that in our dashboard today.
Awesome. Thank you, Srini. Lindsay, you're in kind of the hot seat next. I have a few questions for you if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Awesome. So the first question I have is the demo showed how omnichannel inventory is used in conjunction with Salesforce order management. But what if I'm just a Commerce Cloud customer? Can omnichannel inventory be used without having Salesforce order management?
That's a great question. Yes, omnichannel inventory can be used without Salesforce order management. We intentionally built the omnichannel inventory service in a modular way so that it could be used with just Commerce Cloud or even with Commerce Cloud and a third-party order management system.
Great. Thanks. My next question for you here is in terms of implementation and level of effort involved, what are the main areas I would need to think about when trying to understand what is needed to implement omnichannel inventory?
This is another really awesome question. In my mind, there are three main components or buckets when I think about what it would take to implement omnichannel inventory. Customers would first define and set up their location graph information, which is really based on how, as a customer, you want to segment your inventory. So this includes defining the location groups and the physical locations, in addition to what locations will belong to which groups. The second main area during the implementation process would be establishing that inventory integration into the omnichannel inventory service. So this includes integrating your physical inventory data for each location to the inventory service so that it can calculate real-time availability. And then finally, customers would need to complete any necessary storefront customizations to leverage location level data if they're looking to implement use cases like buy online, pick up in store.
I love how you broke that out for us into kind of three buckets. Thank you. That's super helpful. My final question for you is, I'm a current Commerce Cloud customer operating in several different regions worldwide. Will omnichannel inventory be available globally, or is it still only available in certain regions?
Yes, omnichannel inventory will be available in any region Commerce Cloud is available in today.
Great. Glad to hear it. Well, let me do a quick scan of Twitter and our Trailblazer community to see if we have any final questions here. While I'm doing that, if you want to go around, if there are any resources that you think would be helpful for folks to kind of learn more, dive in, please, I don't know, Alan, if you can start and share if there are any resources or Trailblazer community groups that you think it would be interesting for folks to join to learn more.
I don't know about Trailblazer groups. I can say if they're interested in learning more about kind of commerce payments, they can go to the B2C Commerce Info Center and look at getting started with commerce payments, which will take them through kind of a step-by-step guide as to how they would use the product, what it would be used for, and how they could think about it from the perspective of what they're looking to accomplish from a business perspective.
Great. And Srini or Lindsay, any other resources to add?
I'd say the one resource is obviously the Info Center as well. As Alan pointed out, I think there's a ton of documentation out there. I will point out a pretty cool feature we've been leveraging quite a bit on our dashboards is some tooltips and info tooltips on all these metrics and attributes we've been providing on top of these dashboards. So if and when there's a question around what a metric specifically does, I strongly recommend you can do a quick mouse over on top of your metric that you're interested to learn a little more about and kind of get a quick description around what the metric does. So that's one quick way to kind of get to know the purpose of some of these new metrics we've added. But if you're looking for detailed, thorough documentation, as Alan pointed out, we have a ton of that in the our B2C Commerce Info Center. So yeah.
And then the only thing I would add to that is we also have the B2C Commerce group in the Trailblazer community where it's a one-stop shop. You can go for questions and discussions.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing those resources and answering these great questions. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed learning about all of these innovations as much as we did. Now, if we did not get to your question live today, don't worry. We'll be monitoring that Trailblazer community within the next few days. Just remember, our webcast will be available on the Salesforce Live website for later viewing. Please come back and join us here tomorrow for Marketing Cloud and Pardot highlights from the Spring 21 release. And I can't wait to hear how you're using all of these new features to innovate. So let's keep this conversation going in the Release Readiness Trailblazer community, where all Trailblazers meet to be release ready. Thanks so much, everyone.